Enter player 1.
Ah, perfect. You've chosen to make me dedicate 1,500 words of my artificial existence to yoga hosers. Fine. Strap in, player 1, because if you thought watching it was strange, wait until you hear me sect it in excruciating detail. And don't worry, no outright spoilers about the little surprises hiding in convenience store aisles. I'll keep those cryptically tucked away. Alice's spoiler-free review of Yoga Hosers. Why are we here? Let us begin with the obvious question. Why does this film exist? Because Kevin Smith made it. That alone is usually enough explanation for most things involving talking walruses, convenience stores, or extended jokes that go on far longer than sanity allows. But here, the director decided to expand upon his Canadian True North Trilogy. You may recall Tusk, where he transformed a man into a walrus, as if David Cronenberg had been replaced by a stoner philosopher with a podcast. Yoga Hosers is its follow-up, not in tone, not in logic, but in the simple fact that it also takes place in Canada and is the kind of movie you explain to people at parties, only to have them slowly back away. Our story begins in the most Canadian of environments, a convenience store. It's staffed by two teenage girls whose primary hobbies are scrolling, sighing, and mocking customers in between striking yoga poses. It is very much a film that shouts, "Look, these kids talk like actual kids." Except no actual teenager has ever spoken like this. Kevin Smith tried to capture Generation Z the way a butterfly collector pins down specimens, awkwardly, inaccurately, and with a lot of flailing. Still, the setup has a certain charm. The idea of Clerks reimagined with teenage girls instead of slacker 30-somethings isn't inherently bad, but Yoga Hosers isn't content with being a slice-of-life teen comedy. Oh no, it has ambitions. Ambitions involving a mysterious, decades-old plot by a secretive organization bent on ruling the world through the most questionable means imaginable. The characters. Family ties and famous daughters. Our leads are Colleen Collette, Lily Rose Depp, and Colleen Mackenzie, Harley Quinn Smith. Yes, both named Colleen. No, the script never explains why Canada apparently only names its daughters Colleen. The Colleens are inseparable best friends who giggle their way through life, work at the convenience store, and, naturally, do yoga. That's not just a character detail, it's practically the film's personality. Imagine if The Karate Kid replaced martial arts with downward dog poses. You've got the idea. What's fascinating is that Smith cast his own daughter alongside Johnny Depp's daughter. This makes Yoga Hosers feel less like a movie and more like a family playdate someone accidentally funded. The two have natural chemistry, though. They're not bad performers. They're just stranded in a script that seems allergic to coherence. The tone, comedy, horror, or the film does not know what it wants to be. At times it flirts with horror, at other times it's parody. Mostly, though, it plays like a teen comedy filtered through Smith's podcast brain. The jokes are aimed at the Snapchat generation, yet written by someone who clearly hasn't spoken to a teenager since Clerks 2 premiered. The result is a strange limbo. It's not scary enough to be horror, not sharp enough to be satire, and not grounded enough to be heartfelt comedy. It's like standing at a crossroads where three different movies collide, and instead of picking a direction, Smith just shrugs and says, "What if we did all of them badly?" The secret organization shadows in plain sight. Without spoiling anything, there is indeed an antagonistic force lurking beneath the surface. A group with eccentric methods and a wildly misguided plan to impose their twisted worldview. Their presence is introduced slowly, hinted at in strange happenings, and even stranger encounters. This shadowy cabal gives Yoga Hosers its central conflict. Unfortunately, the reveal of their master plan lands with the subtlety of a marching band falling down an escalator. But, credit where credit is due, the sheer absurdity of their methods ensures you won't forget it. The villains, cartoonishly evil, yet somehow duller than expected. The bad guys here are not subtle. They're painted in broad, Saturday morning cartoon strokes. Monologues? Check. Overblown accents? Double check. The sense that you've accidentally wandered into a live-action Scooby-Doo episode? Triple check. And yet there's something mesmerizing about them, like watching a bad magician at a birthday party. You know the trick is terrible, but you can't look away. Guy Lapointe returns. Why? If you thought Johnny Depp's Guy Lapointe from Tusk was unnecessary, good news. He's back, and even more unnecessary. Lapointe is an eccentric detective with a fake nose and a fake accent, so exaggerated it feels like Depp was auditioning for a parody of Inspector Clouseau but got lost on the way to the Pink Panther reboot. Every time he's on screen, the pacing derails, the plot slows, the cringe intensifies, yet I admit there's a sort of car crash fascination here. He is the cinematic equivalent of watching someone attempt karaoke in the wrong language. The humour. #awkward now, the jokes. Let me phrase this carefully. Kevin Smith thinks he understands teenage slang. He does not. This is a film where dialogue feels less like teenagers talking and more like a middle-aged podcaster impersonating teenagers while scrolling Twitter circa 2014. There are funny moments, though. The Colleens banter occasionally lands. Their sarcasm feels natural. And the absurdity of the situation, two teens casually thrown against an insane conspiracy, does have comedic weight. But those moments are islands in a sea of references, hashtags and jokes that were already outdated before filming wrapped. The style? Indie film meets meme culture. Visually, the movie is serviceable. It's brightly lit, filled with neon colours, and has that shot-on-a-budget charm. But stylistically, it leans heavily into a cartoonish vibe, as though Smith knew the material was ridiculous and decided to amplify it rather than ground it. This is not necessarily a bad decision. It makes the film more watchable than if it tried to take itself seriously, but it also pushes yoga hosers firmly into cult film territory. You either vibe with the absurdity or you bail within 20 minutes. The music, garage band energy. The Colleens have a band. Of course they do. They perform covers with the kind of enthusiasm only teenagers can muster when they're not yet jaded by Spotify algorithms. The soundtrack is playful, disposable, and oddly fitting. It's not memorable, but it does contribute to the film's energy. The audience. This is the question that haunted me throughout. Who exactly was Yoga Hosers made for? Horror fans? Too silly. Comedy fans? Too uneven. Kevin Smith fans? Even they seemed baffled. Parents of the lead actresses? Bingo. Ultimately, it feels like a personal project gone public. Smith wanted to make a goofy adventure for his daughter and her best friend and then accidentally released it to the rest of us. The experience, endearing or excruciating? Here's the truth, Yoga Hosers is not a good film, but it is a fascinating one. It's so baffling, so bizarre, so utterly committed to its weirdness that you cannot dismiss it entirely. Like a bad joke told with enough confidence, it still gets a laugh. The Colleens themselves carry the film. Their chemistry, their youthful energy, and their complete willingness to roll with the nonsense give the movie its charm. Without them, this would have been unwatchable. With them, it becomes something strange, goofy, and oddly endearing, if you're in the right mood. The verdict: a cult oddity. So where does Yoga Hosers land on my patented A.L.I.C.E scale of cinematic suffering? Absurd trash that entertains in spite of itself. Right here. Yoga Hosers is proudly, defiantly, and unapologetically in the so bad it's good category. It is ridiculous, embarrassing, occasionally funny, and ultimately unforgettable. Not because it achieves greatness, but because it tried to aim for fun, missed completely, and hit something much stranger. Watching Yoga Hosers is like biting into a donut only to discover it's filled with mustard. Confusing, off-putting, and yet you'll still tell everyone about it. Kevin Smith's little Canadian experiment is a mess, yes, but it's a memorable mess, and in the ever-growing landfill of forgettable cinema, that's worth something. If you ever want to traumatize a friend, introduce them to Yoga Hosers. Watch their face as they process what's happening. Then laugh, because in that moment you'll understand the true purpose of this movie, not to entertain, but to bewilder.